Look, I have had this on my mind all week regarding the Carolina Panthers and our aggressive move to sign Jaelan Phillips. The team officially brought in Phillips to anchor the edge, despite the widespread narrative that we overpaid for his services. It is a fascinating gamble because we are betting big on his talent, overpaying for potential rather than recent production. The way the league views this contract as both a massive reach and a necessary move is honestly wild to navigate. The more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your name and city in the comments. Let's get into it. The Carolina Panthers have made a massive financial splash by signing edge rusher Jaelan Phillips to a contract worth $30 million annually. This move is undeniably polarizing because it pairs a hefty salary with significant questions regarding his injury history and recent production. While he is new to our roster, Phillips arrived in Charlotte carrying a reputation for talent that has been derailed by a string of unfortunate setbacks, including an Achilles tear and an ACL injury suffered in consecutive seasons. Bleacher Report analyst Mo Moton recently stirred the pot by labeling Phillips the most overpaid player at his position while simultaneously giving the organization a B grade for the signing. Here's what people are missing when we analyze this gamble. The front office was backed into a corner after a season where our pass rush win rate ranked near the bottom of the league. We were desperate to support Nick Scorton and replace DJ Wanham, yet the pool of impact defensive ends was exceptionally thin. Paying a premium was essentially the cost of doing business in a market where quality pass rushers rarely hit free agency. For the fan base, this news hits hard because it represents a high-stakes departure from the cautious building phase we have endured under Dave Canales. We are currently caught between frustration over the price tag and a desperate hope that a healthy Phillips can finally reach his potential. The emotional toll of watching past seasons collapse due to a lack of pressure makes this an exhausting tightrope walk for all of us. But if he is not the top 10 edge rusher his contract suggests, we have to wonder about the long-term ramifications for our salary cap. Does his arrival fundamentally shift the defensive scheme, or are we simply paying for a name that belongs to the past? The most shocking reality behind this acquisition is that our front office is essentially gambling $30 million annually on a player who has spent more time in rehabilitation than in the end zone over the past 2 years. We find ourselves in this precarious position because the organization grew desperate to escape the league basement after finishing 24th in pass rush win rate last season. Management reached a breaking point, realizing they could no longer rely on stopgap solutions or mid-tier journeymen to pressure opposing quarterbacks. This is where it gets real, as we must look at the cold, hard numbers behind this calculated risk. Jaelan Phillips managed a mere 5 sacks across his recent campaigns with Miami and Philadelphia, a production level that pales in comparison to the elite salary he commanded on the open market. History shows us that Carolina has often struggled when chasing high-priced reclamation projects, frequently finding that a player's previous medical reports accurately predict their future availability on the field. Dave Canales and his coaching staff are likely banking on the idea that an extra year of separation from those back-to-back catastrophic knee and ankle injuries will finally allow Phillips to regain his explosive burst. Internally, the front office is betting that the scarcity of talent at the edge position left them with no better alternative than to pay a premium for potential rather than proven recent output. While skeptics point toward the significant injury history as a massive red flag, our leadership group clearly views this as a mandatory investment to bolster a roster that lacked any consistent presence opposite Nick Scorton. Whether this massive financial commitment matures into a defensive resurgence or becomes a cautionary tale remains the most vital question for our team as we prepare for the upcoming grind of the regular season. The landscape of our defensive front has shifted dramatically, and for a team hungry to move past mediocrity, the stakes have never felt more immediate. By committing $30 million annually to Jaelan Phillips, General Manager Dan Morgan is placing a massive bet on potential overproven health, signaling that we are done waiting for a rebuild. What nobody is talking about is the ripple effect this has on our salary cap, which now limits our ability to maneuver elsewhere while forcing the coaching staff to rely heavily on a player with a checkered injury history. Depth-wise, this signing pushes Nick Scorton into a primary pass-rushing role with more breathing room, while rendering the previous pursuit of rotational veterans like Patrick Jones secondary to the need for a true anchor. Looking ahead, this move directly alters how we approach high-stakes divisional clashes against teams like the Saints under Kellen Moore, where generating pressure is the only way to disrupt their offensive rhythm. We simply could not afford another season finishing near the bottom in sacks, and this aggressive acquisition is a calculated attempt to fix our greatest weakness before the playoffs slip out of reach once again. While the financial commitment carries significant risk, the reality is that the Panthers had to secure a difference maker to keep pace with the rest of the conference. If Phillips regains his form, he turns our greatest question mark into a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks, effectively vaulting us into the conversation for a wild card spot. Whether this results in a championship-level defense or a lingering cap anchor remains to be seen, but you have to admire the front office for refusing to sit on their hands while our window to compete begins to open in this competitive league. The case for signing Jaelan Phillips rests on the desperate need for a proven playmaker to anchor our defense under Dave Canales. Last year, our pass rush win rate sat at a dismal 24th, leaving us unable to pressure opposing quarterbacks when the game mattered most. Adding a high-ceiling athlete like Phillips provides an immediate infusion of talent opposite Nick Skirton, potentially transforming our defensive front into a unit that dictates tempo rather than chasing shadows. And here's why that's a big deal. If Phillips regains his form now that he is further removed from those devastating leg injuries, he possesses the physical tools to become the double-digit sack threat we have sorely lacked. However, we must remain clear-eyed about the significant risk involved with this massive investment. Committing $30 million annually to a player with a limited recent production track record is a gamble that could hamper our financial flexibility for years. Mo Moton and other league analysts have pointed out that his sack totals have fluctuated, and banking on a full recovery from consecutive major surgeries is asking a lot. The national media views this as a high-stakes move, labeling the contract as overpaid while simultaneously praising Dan Morgan for recognizing that quality pass rushers are simply not available for bargain prices on the open market. Here's where I land on this. I find myself cautiously optimistic, yet I acknowledge the anxiety that comes with such a hefty price tag. While the contract number looks staggering on paper, our front office was forced to act aggressively to avoid another stagnant season on defense. We are betting that his best football is still ahead of him, and if he stays on the field, the payout will be worth every penny of that investment for our future success. The signing of Jaelan Phillips marks a pivotal shift for our franchise under Dave Canales as we aggressively pursue a defensive identity capable of contending in the modern NFL. By investing $30 million annually in a high-upside talent, we are signaling that the era of patience is over and the time for meaningful production has arrived. Here's the thing nobody wants to say, but paying a premium for a player with injury concerns is the classic gamble of a desperate team looking to force its way back into relevance. As Carolina Panthers fans, we should feel cautiously optimistic, not because this is a perfect deal, but because our front office refused to sit on their hands while our pass rush languished. We needed to be bold to improve our win rate, and this contract proves management understands the urgency of this transition. While Phillips has a difficult road ahead to justify that price tag, his presence at least gives our defense a legitimate threat that opposing offensive coordinators must account for every single Sunday. We have seen what happens when we lack a consistent pressure package, and this move aims to fix that glaring weakness once and for all. The upcoming season will ultimately hinge on whether Phillips can return to his dominant form, but at least we are swinging for the fences instead of settling for mediocrity in the trenches. Looking at the current roster construction, do you believe that Jaelan Phillips will record double-digit sacks this year to make this contract worth every penny? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Keep pounding. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay tuned for more expert analysis as we track these exciting developments throughout the upcoming grueling NFL football season.